Attention, everyone.
Turn it up.
Come on. Street certified.
Plug 1, 2.
The interesting thing, after we record this, Jay,
Yep.
I'm going to go see Julie Mae and possibly her mom and dad.
That's dope. Yeah, she told me earlier, and I was just like, oh, man, that's cool. But I'm also kind of jealous, too, man, because I do want to be out there and kick it with Charles, you know?
Who are you more jealous of? Are you jealous of Julie Mae seeing Charles, or are you jealous of Charles seeing Julie Mae?
That's a good question. I mean, it's kind of both. I mean, because honestly, it's like, and that was part of the reason why I didn't want to go on the trip, was because, you know, I'm going to be out there and then Charles is out there and it's like, dude, I'm going to want to kick it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to just like, oh, okay, peace, guys.
I don't want to go back to corporate America. Don't have me go.
Right. I think in a couple of months, giving it out to our listening audience, I mean, there's going to be some big tour plans for us three. So things are going to look on the up come fall, if not beginning of, would that be classified as spring? Come January? My seasons are all fucked up now.
It doesn't matter.
Winter.
Huh?
I still think that's winter. Yeah, winter.
Yes, winter. Let me LeVar Ball that winter. Winter. But yeah, dude. You know what's interesting, Zach? Obviously, for your ethnic background, you know you're Spanish and Arabic.
Yeah.
And with the Asians, and I completely understand this. And, you know, some people will think Koreans, Japanese, Filipinos, Chinese are completely, oh, you guys are all monotony. You know, you guys are all the same. It's rice, slanted eyes. One's just darker because you're in the north part of the fucking equator or something like that. But it's completely different. Like where I intend on taking Julie Mae's parents and her is to a food court. It's they're called hawker centers in Singapore. And Filipinos specifically, they're making really good Singaporean food out here in the Philippines. It's the most ironic thing.
Wow. Isn't that just the proximity too? Or do you think this is just like the cultural taste that they're...
That's a good question, Jay. Filipinos have tried to copy Hong Kong style dim sum, and they can't catch it. There's a Filipino Chinese style dim sum, but they can't. You and Jovan were recently in Hong Kong.
Right. No, that's absolutely right.
Right,
It's even the same restaurant that's in Hong Kong, and they have a restaurant in the Philippines, and you're right, they can't duplicate it.
And even if it's just the fundamental food, it's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking, just because, I mean, you know, is Singapore a little bit closer than Hong Kong, or is it just
Hong Kong is closer?
Oh,
Hong Kong's closer.
Okay, I wasn't really sure. So that's cool, man. That's cool to hear. Just the evolution, though. In Manila.
Have you guys been watching the Summer League games?
We were just talking about that before we hopped on, but I saw the first game. The first game was interesting because as we were watching the very beginning, Lonzo to Ingram looked very good. Like, that was a nice alley-oop that he fed to him. Yeah. And then after that, he just had a really bad shooting night. And credit, like, a lot of people are looking at his points more so than what he was doing elsewhere. Like, he had 4 assists, 5 rebounds. It was like average for a rookie in his first game. But I already knew that it was just like, I can't count him out because of one Summer League game. And sure enough, I missed the second game where he blew up. I mean, I think you got to keep in perspective too, that not only is he a rookie, I think that the biggest impact that he's having is just the excitement. I mean, it was a sold out game for a Summer League. I think that's the first time that the Summer League game's ever been sold out, you know, and it's like, it's not a coincidence, you know. The Lakers have had, like, you know, high draft picks the last 3 years, so it's not like this is the first time, you know, but it's really his name, the sensationalism behind it, and you know, it's not like he's doing really spectacular things, but I mean, I think he's playing solid, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing his development.
Yeah, and one thing I observed via television were 3 things. One, Lonzo Ball had way more fun, soulful, hooper hype compared to Kevin Durant from 10 years ago. Kevin Durant was, okay, let's watch, but this felt live, dude. Like, everyone was in anticipation. Number 2, Zach, Filipinos are nuts for basketball, dude.
Oh, I know that.
Dude, it's like they're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. I mean, I would go to like small stores and they're all trying to stream illegal Facebook live streams of the summer league games off like the Starbucks internet that from next door.
Hey man.
Yeah, it was dope. And the
dope.
other thing, and the other thing that I observed is like it feels like I was preaching this on our Lakers podcast last week. I feel like Lonzo's going to be all right. I think he's going to be okay, man. It's just Zach brought up like such a good point. Like you just got to develop it in regards to D Angelo Russell, right? Like I think all three of us wanted to see D Angelo at least play half a season at minimum with Lonzo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but doesn't it feel different as a point guard?
He's definitely different. I mean, coming into the D'Angelo's rookie year, I heard about how great of a passer he was, and I didn't see that in any of his games. I really didn't see any great passing or infectious kind of play on the team. But with Lonzo, you can really see it. I mean, his vision and what he's looking for, it's there, and it needs to develop. And I've been skeptical about it and pretty critical about maybe it doesn't translate, but we'll see. I mean, it is summer league. We also want to keep our expectations, or at least I do. I'm keeping my expectation a little low still, but it looks good. I mean, his mentality is way different than D'Angelo's.
Yeah, comparing him to D'Angelo, I really think now Lonzo's heading the right way, where it's like, as long as he gets his defense in order, I already would think by year one he's a better player than D'Angelo. Because D'Angelo still has a lot of flaws in his game. Like, he's more of a guy that's a better cutter, as you've said before, Charles, in the past. Like, he's a better cutter, which is why he would have been a great shooting guard for Lonzo. He doesn't really dribble well and shoot off the dribble. He also is not a really good defender compared to the other players on the Lakers that are still potentially better or could get better. So
for the listening audience, for you, relax. It's not going to be sports centric, but we're going to flex our talk mic because we're going to make something sports centric, societal. Zach, you sent a photo on our message links, our message threads on Instagram. If you could just break down for our listening audience what you sent.
Yeah, so it was actually D'Angelo Russell in attendance at the very first Summer League game between the Lakers and the Clippers. Now, he's now with the Brooklyn Nets. He's no longer with the Lakers. And the photo is actually pretty funny because he's wearing a hoodie, and the look on his face is like, it kind of looks shady, like he's suspicious. Like, you see two other dudes in the pic, and like they're sitting in front of him, and like they're just like not paying attention, but you see D'Angelo kind of sneaking in, trying to get a look at what's going on in the fourth quarter. And the comment says, poor D'Angelo Russell, and then the rest is in Spanish.
Jay, could you set up for the audience also what happened with D'Angelo and who he is, just paint a picture for them?
D'Angelo is really he was the first big draft pick for the Lakers. He was the first second overall pick that the Lakers got 3 seasons ago, and there was a lot of hype put on him, especially it was supposed to be the turnaround player for the Lakers, and this is gonna show that they're coming back, and he's just had some issues. His rookie year, he leaked a video of Nick Young talking about sleeping with another woman when and maybe not him physically leaked it, but it was him or somebody in his group that leaked that video. He's had some issues with just, I think, maybe just showboating his attitude and things like that. But also he kind of did that little, like the tweet where that said that, I hope the Lakers don't draft Lonzo Ball, and then he unliked it or something like that. I don't know what that was all about, but it's just kind of these character issues that may not really promote the good healthy locker room stuff. And and he got traded. He got traded before the draft, and ushered in a new era for Laker basketball.
And to rehash for you who's listening, okay, we had a recent link on our Instagram. Go to plug12 plugonetwo.com, and you'll see what we talk about, where if you're dating an athlete or an entertainer, do you accept the fact that they're going to be sleeping around? And the one thing, not as a rehash, but in the spirit of understanding why a player could be traded and why this player is sad and we're talking about it, it's regardless if it's the new social media era, the new internet era where everything becomes passe after a week, I still think D Angelo Russell snitching and releasing Nick Young confessing that he was sleeping with another girl, it's just bad for the man code. Now, is Swaggy P, Nick Young at fault? Sure. But, dude, that's a relationship which still... I mean, God knows what could have happened. Maybe Swaggy cheated on her that time and then he moved on, and maybe they could have gotten married. So, for me, I think that's the biggest hit I have on D'Angelo. And him liking a tweet instead of welcoming a player that's going to be on the team, it's minor, but it's still heavy. Do you guys still feel like that's a big deal, what he did in regards to leaking the audio/video of a confessional?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean... like you said, it's like the man code. And like when you're on a team, we see nowadays in the NBA how much of a family it is. It's no longer teammates. It's like everyone's close knit when they're on the same team. The best example is Russell Westbrook when he won the MVP trophy, and then he invited all of his teammates up and said, like, you guys are like brothers. And for the fact that like you're spending most of your time with these guys rather than your own significant other, and you're pretty much opening up more to them during the entire course of the season, 82 games, maybe even playoffs or preseason shit. The fact that, like, D'Angelo Russell violated Nick Young's trust in him, and then, therefore, violating other players such as Lou Williams. I know Lou Williams was the one that was pissed because that guy has 2 girls, and he communicates well with them, and he knows how to put them in check. But at the same time, with Nick Young, like, he was the first guy to go up to D'Angelo in the locker room and goes, "Hey man, you don't do that."
Yeah. It's I think it doing it once, and I mean, we've had this discussion about how maybe that's just a millennial thing, and they're always on their phones, and all the etiquettes and things like that they don't know, or whatever. That's fine, but I think it's also more of a reflection of how either he just didn't learn, or that's just really his nature to be that kind of dude, where it's like he's feeling himself maybe, and then he doesn't acknowledge these kinds of mistakes or things like that. Because I look at the flip side of, it is 15 years before or so, 10, 15 years before, but Kobe violated the man code, when Shaq, when he was telling the cops basically like, hey, I should have paid the girl off like Shaq does, and things like that. But the thing with Kobe is that, you just see his character. And the thing is he made a mistake. He wasn't going to do it again. And on top of that, he was just a phenomenal basketball player. So, unless you have that kind of a status and that kind of a personality, I think you just gotta learn, and that's the main thing that D'Angelo has to do, is he has to learn that this is it's something he has to work on.
So it's the whole point of our show, right? It's to find the gap. It's to find, are we just being grumpy Gen Xers in our 40s? Our millennials are at fault. But no, I think with your most recent statement, Jay, I think it proves it's an issue of how you're raised and how you communicate, and if you're a little bit privileged, right? Because when Kobe slipped and snitched, that wasn't the heavy internet era.
Yeah.
So
you can't blame that on the phones. Do you agree, Zach?
No, what I will say is Kobe did it so much later in his career. Like he was like 8 years in his career to where like
was it 8?
Because
already?
2004, like around the time of the Colorado case,
you're right.
he got drafted in '96. So like I want to say 7 or 8 years. At least at that point, Kobe was more established. So they go like, well, this is a grown adult saying it. Plus, we revere him. Like the same way Michael Vick did what he did to the Dogs. And some football fans will be like, well, it's not that bad. So it's like we're able to like accept him already by society standards, or at least sports standards, where it's like D Angelo Russell just showed up on the scene. Yeah. And he just did this. And so that's why people are so quick to say immature. And first impressions are sometimes the most that are, or sometimes the ones that are everlasting.
Great point.
Well, I think it's a case of both people being immature. Yeah. That's for sure. And I think, like, you know how Kobe was such an isolated player? Like, he didn't want to hang out with the guys. Though there is a good reason that, hey, everyone's trying to go to the strip club. Everyone's like in their 30s. I'm in my early 20s. Mm-hmm. So I just don't do that. I think a lot of it has to do with social ineptness. Because like D'Angelo, that photo that you sent us, Zach, I look at that. It's almost like 4 or 5 emotions at once. It's like yearning to be back with the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I fucked up, and I should have been a good team guy. Even let's just say you're meant to be a scoring maniac, but welcome Lonzo Ball. Don't like a tweet where someone said, there's like a pro D'Angelo person. Mm-hmm. You should know that should be interpreted. And the two other emotions is kind of like, I do want to fuck you guys up come next time I play you guys as a Brooklyn Net. I'm going to score 40 on you guys. But I still miss the glamour because listen to this crowd. Yeah. Listen to this arena.
Right.
If I could have been the 2 guard to this one guy, I would have been part of this team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's a multi-dimensional photo. So I need to get your reaction if I'm overthinking this or...
No, my first impression that I saw, it was like, it's kind of like when an ex, it was like when you break up with an ex and they're still in your life and they're supporting you. And it's just like they're checking up on you, but at the same time, they're there and they don't want you to do well. Like, he's there to see his former teammates and go like, yo, that's probably an excuse if Magic sees him or if LeVar sees him. Like, then he's like, I'm here to support the guys I spent the last 2 years with.
Well, no, these are the rookies though. So
that's
like
true.
1 year, maybe
1 year, yeah, for Ingram in that case.
I mean, I think the X thing is on point. I mean, I definitely saw that in his face where it's just like, man, Charles hit on the head where it's like, look at all the excitement. It's a sold out crowd for a summer league game.
Yeah,
and it's like, I think I messed up, and you're just kind of watching your ex be happy with somebody else. And then it's just like, man, maybe I messed up.
Well, would you guys handle watching an ex on Instagram and social media? And goddamn, maybe if they were a celebrity or a YouTuber. I mean, do you guys just completely disassociate yourself? Because I would. I would completely... remove myself from seeing them. I've removed people from Twitter and Instagram, and I am way more happier because when I see someone that I don't care for on Instagram and on the timeline, it's like, dude, it just irritates me.
Exactly. No, exactly. I'm the same way. And if they ever do become a celebrity, like if I was dating, I don't know, freaking like, I don't like her, but let's say like I was dating Kylie Jenner and I know it's you're popping up in magazines and all that shit, I might be the person that goes off the grid and just throws my Social Security out the fucking window.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's also part of it, right? Where you're doing it. For me personally, I remove myself. Like, I don't look at it, and I don't make contact, at least for a while. I mean, I think you gotta find yourself or find your feet again and whatnot. But I mean, I can't say there weren't times where it's like, I'm just gonna check. Well, it was like MySpace at the time. Oh, let me just check on the MySpace and see, like, just try to.
We are not old, Jay.
Yeah. I didn't even have an account, man. I was just trying to ghost and like just kind of, peep in and hate, a little bit. But it's kind of like that kind of stuff, man, where you just kind of find your own therapy and try not to get like too into it, or else you go crazy.
Yeah, I haven't gone back since I last deleted my ex. Like, blocked. Like, she came back into my life twice. Or, I'm sorry, she came back once. So she's been in my life twice. The second time I got rid of her, I'm like, goodbye. Like, and I haven't looked back, and I haven't regretted it.
You haven't looked at even in a Instagram, like... I mean, I'm assuming she's private?
No, it's... No. I blocked her. So she
you blocked her?
Yeah, so even then, I don't think I could, like, go on her page if I unblocked her or something like that. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm done.
Hey, Jake, my burger needs some seasoning. Could you pass Zach's salt internationally and fly it over here?
The saltiness flavor of Zach.
I'm the same way, bro. Zach, I'm the exact same way. But you know what, though? I wouldn't be shocked if D'Angelo changed, like, his premise in life. I would take him back in if he improved, like, his team ability and play him at the two guard. Would you guys?
Yeah, but I think for someone that was originally looked at as a leader, I don't think he could ever fit that role again, which is why the less expectations for him, the better.
Right, your job is to score. You're at the 2. Paul George is at the 3. Brandon Ingram is at the 4. That's our death lineup. And then LeBron James was going to win us 3 more rings because we're going to will it to happen. And then we're going to pass up the Celtics and have 2 more.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think if he was to develop, sure, and change his outlook and become more of a team focused player, sure. I mean, you got to give somebody a second chance, and if it makes financial sense. I just see it kind of like Nick Van Exel, after he made the Cancun comments and got the door. I mean, even as dope as he was, and it was fun watching him, and he would kill the Lakers when he was either with Denver or Dallas. But it's like, would you take him back? I don't know, man. Maybe you just gotta let it go.
I see. I just would have loved to seen what we could have done, but I guess it's time for me to move on and not have that D'Angelo sad face. When I watch D'Angelo Russell. Either that or I've been around these D'Angelo Homer flips at the Lakers Nation podcast, dude.
I hear you, man.
Because they're just D'Angelo Russell or nothing, dude.
I saw one guy, I mean, in the crowd, and he had a D'Angelo Russell jersey on, and he just covered up the Lakers with a piece of paper that said Nets on it.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it's just, I guess, a creative way to try to get on TV, but I don't know, man. I think I'm ready to just let it go. Yeah, move on, man. This is a new team, and just kind of ride that excitement.
Got you. On another topic, there's Colin Cowherd, which, he has a show called The Herd. And then there's another, I don't know which show program this would be, where he has like the multiple group chats with the members.
With, Jason Whitlock, too.
Right. I'm looking at the link right now. I guess it's It's entitled "Problem with Tip Shaming or Athletes." Speak for yourself is the name of the program.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. Speak for yourself. So basically, a waiter, like an egg icon on Twitter. So basically, he just has like 5 followers. Put Roberson from the Oklahoma City Thunder on blast because it was like a $487 bottle service bill and change. And then Roberson just decided to tip like, he thought it was going to be $13, but it's really like $12 and like 87 cents. And before we even play the clip, because I've worked in the service industry, like, you know, being in marketing and promotions for the Conga Room, having my own events there, I automatically tip 20%. And then what I do if I had bad service, I give them a lecture because I don't want them to shit in my fucking food. But if it's so bad, if the service is obviously so bad and so terrible, I won't even eat the food. Then I'll just talk to the manager and tell him I won't go. How do you guys feel about tipping?
I initially with taking out, that was the biggest thing, and they're actually going to talk about it in the second clip. But that was the one thing I got in a Facebook argument about a couple of years ago because I said something to the effect of how like I shouldn't tip for takeout, and lo and behold, all the people that worked in the service industry were the ones lining up in the comments and then also like kind of like just liking each other's comments going like, no, man, you don't understand. This is a person's job. Plus the company doesn't pay them well because they don't give a fuck about their like employees. And so at that point, like I was able to see it through their eyes that they're busting their asses, even if it's just the chef. And like if the waiter, all he has to do is just put like silverware into a box and then hand it to me, that's to go, that's still work. Like he still has to make an effort to like give me the food. And so I've been making an effort to tip on taking out, but still I'm like tipping around 15 to 18% every time I go out for a meal for dine-in.
For dine-in.
Yeah.
So how much do you tip for takeout?
If it's, I would say 10%.
Okay. Wow, that's good, man. I think that's very generous. I'm the same way. I mean, I normally I try to tip 20%, like at least 20%. Just, you know, if I'm being serviced in the restaurant. I mean, if it's to go, sometimes I'll just round it out or just tip a couple bucks. You know, I don't tip 20% or sometimes not even 10%, you know, but you know, just maybe a couple bucks just to kind of, you know, just throw something in there if it's to go. But yeah, dude, I think I'm more likely to tip for places that I would frequent more so than like, you know, just a place I'm going to once in a while.
Great one, Jay.
You know, and you just kind of want to have that. You just kind of want to have that rapport with maybe, you know, the servers. They're going to turn over. You know, you're not going to get the same server. But I think, you know, just for people that do end up staying and getting to know, oh, this person will take care of you or whatever. I think that's a good precedent to have, and just so you have a go-to place.
Zach, were they recommending like a percentage on your Facebook post?
No, they're just saying still give them anything. Like the person that stuck out to me the most is this guy named Nick, and it's because Nick is a good friend of mine. Where like he was a bartender at Karma Lounge. Now he's actually the general manager, I think, or just maybe a manager at the Umami Burger in downtown LA. He was making an effort and a point that it's just like, yeah, it's takeout, and yeah, they're not really doing much, but still, this is a company. And he was the one that just said like, any dollar that you're able to give them is still better than nothing. And you don't want to be looked at as the guy, especially if you go back continually, as the guy that doesn't tip well, because then they won't give a fuck about you. So,
yeah, I think to add context to, like what Jay said, just brilliant hammer on the nail. If you're going to frequent the place, it's a relationship. Those people will remember you. I remember, speaking of umami, the umami burger in Los Feliz, Jay, the one we frequented the most.
Yeah.
I established such good rapport. I remember this dude let me cut in front of 11 people, but I slipped him a 20.
Yeah.
But still, to some people, it'd be like, fuck that. I don't want to get lynched or mobbed just for your $20. But the fact that he was going to let me cut, and before I even let him finish his sentence, I shook his hand. He saw the 20. You know, because I'm half Chinese, I want to make sure that he sees the 2 and the 0.
Exactly.
You want to see the 2 and the 0? So that way it's like, okay. All right, Charles. Looks like one opened up here. So it's one of those cases where it's a relationship. Now, before we play the first clip to set people up, because I'm old, you guys are going to have to remind me if this is correct. It was a bottle service consumption, right? That's what they talked about on the audio, right, guys?
Right.
Like if you're telling me I own a restaurant or I'm a GM of a restaurant and my employees, somebody just did $480 worth of, that's a big bill at a restaurant. That's a big bill in LA for a meal. And you just ripped them on social media, I'm firing the waiter. Like, when's the last time a waiter, this happens a lot, ripped a customer and didn't get fired? But bottom line, I've never been a waiter. I've worked in a lot of kitchens and done that stuff. Here's the reality with being a waiter. There are people, you're going to get one a night. They're a lousy tipper. You're also going to get one ridiculously good tipper. It all works its way out. You just own it. You're quiet. You smile. You grimace. You don't go to social media and clobber a pro athlete.
This guy, this Twitter egg had 5 followers, right? I think he has 5 tweets total, and he goes out there and misspells your. He went with the wrong your. I mean, that's how embarrassing this is. But I got to defend the Andre Roberson here. Okay, we've all had bad service at restaurants. Eric, I know you and Eddie have good stories. But this is a situation where Roberson's not at fault. All he did was go to the bar and collect a bottle. Is that worth a $100 tip?
Nope.
Kyle, seriously, I'm being honest, guys. I can't give somebody $100 for just collecting a bottle. I'm sorry.
I like how he made it even, though. See, $13.97. Hey, get a cool 500 out there. I like that right there. That's what I would do, too. Good math out there.
Yeah.
So there's several things we need to talk about, and obviously by group, you guys are going to help remember because I'm forgetful. But the first issue is Colin Cowherd correct? Like, hey, it's just a bottle being brought to you, so you shouldn't be tipped much. That's the first issue. The second issue is, should Roberson accept that you are accepting the lifestyle, therefore you should accept the spending style, right? Mm-hmm. That's another issue. Yeah. And the final part of it really is to really just mindfuck our audience. Like, why would Colin Cowherd talk like that? He said he never worked as a waiter. If anything, he should be the one backing this guy up. So let's start with the first point. Since we're going to assume Colin and the crew are correct, since it's just bottle service, is $13 for bringing that bottle acceptable?
So, wait, can I play devil's advocate or should I just pretend? Okay.
Well, why don't you answer it first and then play devil's advocate?
Okay. A bottle doesn't seem like that much work, but I will say that if you have movers moving your stuff, whether it's like a giant painting, just one very valuable thing that may be like worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Brilliant.
Wouldn't you want to tip them well for moving that thing that could have been more than a $13 tip? You know what I'm saying?
Brilliant. Amazing.
I'm really more so in the because I'm thinking of this being, it's not bottle service like, you know, we've been to the club and then, you know, you go into VIP and, you know, they bring out the bottle with the sparklers and, you know, make a big scene about it or you know, they're refilling your mixers and stuff like that. I mean, I'm assuming he bought like a bottle of champagne or a bottle of wine and maybe they even poured it themselves, right? You know, they even, you know, they just brought it out and they brought the glasses out and then maybe they even the server didn't even pour it. Maybe he did. I don't know. But
We don't know. You're right.
yeah, I mean, I think in the sense of assuming that they just ordered this expensive bottle, $400, almost $500 bottle, and the server didn't pour it. It is a little cheap, $13 is a little light. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree in the sense is like, you really are allowed to do whatever you want, and if it's not a place that he just kind of, wasn't feeling it or whatever, fine. But you're going to blast him like that, for sure he's not coming back.
Yeah, because this is really more of a Pandora's box conversation. Because at the same time, if let's say that waiter or waitress, I assume waitress, poured everyone, let's say it's 4 glasses. If she poured everyone, that ups the tip already right there.
Yeah.
I'm a female. I assume I look good. I'm pouring the stuff. If I walk back at least 2 times to re-pour, then dude, that's a 20% tip in my eyes, at least. The one thing I also failed to mention was, was it right for the waiter to put him on blast? A 5-follower waiter. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, 5 followers on Twitter. But before we even get to that, Zach, you had a devil's advocate answer?
Okay. So on TMZ, according to TMZ, here's what we know. Robertson and 12 of his friends hit up Chupacabra Cantina in Austin, Texas that Wednesday night, downing vodka Red Bulls, vodka sodas, and Long Islands. Now, it's been a while since I was practicing to be a bartender, but Long Islands do include vodka, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
minimum
vodka,
of 3 whites.
So Red Bulls, sodas, and other mixed drinks. That means they had to bring not just the vodka bottle, but that means they had to bring up other services. So I'm probably thinking like it has to be more than 20% if they're mixing drinks for them and they're having to do much more than just bring one bottle and then leaving it there. Like, I think Robertson in his tweet when he was trying to fight back, he was trying to paint an image of like, oh, they just brought a bottle. And it made it seem like the party that Robertson was with was doing all the work. So the bartenders were actually doing much more work than he gave them credit for.
That's great research, Zach. And this episode can go 3 hours, I can tell you. Because now Colin Cowherd, they're almost faking the news because it's incorrect. Because you just added more context to what happened. Because what they're saying is it was just one giant bottle.
Yeah.
Right? That's the assumption I got.
Well,
but
that's his tweet said that. That's what that's what Robertson tweeted.
And that's what Cowherd was going off of. He was defending Robertson.
Wait, Robertson tweeted what?
His tweet was, shouldn't have had to tip you. It was just a bottle at a bar. There was no service. Now I can see if it was now I can see if it was at a club. You reaching, bro. That was his tweet.
Oh, he's a dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You know what, then? Thanks to you guys, he should just take the L, dude.
Robertson?
Take the loss. No, the waiter.
The waiter, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, take the loss.
Zach's point is a little... I'm not really sure what exactly transpired here. They're both painting different things, right? It's like... If they're at a club and there's mixers involved and things like that, I mean, that definitely should be increased. Yeah. 10, 20, maybe sometimes 30, depending, assuming if it was a better looking server or whatever, And I think you just kind of expect that. But, if it's just a bottle and you just kind of didn't do, you gotta just kind of take that loss.
Zach, does that change your frame of mind since it was just a bottle?
If it was just a bottle,
this is in regards to the waiter tweeting.
Yeah, if it was just a bottle and I was actually on Robertson's side, then I would say, Yeah, like I would say, okay, like I could tell that Robertson, like I think it was Eddie House that said it in the text. I was like, when I looked at the receipt, I'm like, he just clearly wanted to get to 500. He has OCD or something because obviously, like he wants to tip on an increment of like 5s and 0s or something. But
sure,
when it comes to that, like 1387 is such a strange number. That's even 3% tip, so it was better off to just leave no tip at that point.
Really?
I think so. I think it was better off, like, if you didn't like the service and you think, oh, one bottle, that's not a big deal, don't tip them then.
Well, what about, like, the whole thing if you're at a bar and it's like, you know, I don't know, like, say it's an overpriced drink, you know, $15 Corona. I mean, are you going to tip 20%? I mean, I normally just slip $1.
No, that's what I do too, yeah.
So that's like maybe like, you know, 5% or, you know, something like that. So why, I mean, I don't know what the difference is.
I agree with you guys because it's a bottle. You just popped up a beer bottle open, right?
Yeah.
If I give you $2, you should be like, okay, he's a good dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Because all it took was for you to turn around, pretend to like me, pull out the fucking beer, bottle opener, boom. If I give you $2, you're like, man, this dude's all right. If I give you $1, you should be like, okay, that's cool. That's it. And with all these, including older people, with all these binary folks, there's nothing else to assume. It's the effort. If you got to mix a drink, that takes more effort.
Yeah. Or if he's pouring and it's kind of like, I mean, I see this all the time.
Sure.
Too. You know, it's like they'll hook you up on the next one. If you take care of them on the first one, they'll hook you up on the drinks following, you know, and even if you don't tip them as high. Yeah. You know, it's just kind of like, oh, this guy is going to take care of me. I'm going to take care of him on the next one or the one after that. So, you know, they'll pour a little bit heavier or something like that. You know, it's just they'll take the time to take care of you too. You know, especially when it's not even if it's busy and you're at like a crowded bar, they'll look for you and things like that. I mean, there is something to taking care of the servers too.
If I may share my bro days in Glendale, at Glendale Community College in my early 20s, there used to be a Mexican restaurant on Maryland and Louise called Chewy's. And on certain nights, they would have $7 pitchers and $5 shots. There's this one waitress that we befriended, pretty cute. She looked like she was like Latin and maybe like Persian, something like that. But she was cute though. She was cute. It was me, this guy Fong, and Andrew, and one other guy, Jason. We bought 9 pitchers between the 4 of us. So we were so drunk and we were just so jolly. We tipped waitress $60.
Hey.
So with this badass bitch brought us lobster quesadilla. She brought us another pitcher of margaritas and shots for everyone.
Nice.
And then Fong, goddamn Vietnamese Chinese friend of mine, threw up on my fucking left shoulder on his way to the fucking bathroom because we were so happy and lush. And this is like where taxis take you for 3 miles and you have to spend $25 during that time. So, I mean, I guess it's just more subjective and push and pull. But I think between the 3 of us, we should come up with some advice and rules to our listening audience where it's like, yo, this is what you have to do. You know, like what Jay and Zach, what you guys said, if there's an effort of pouring, if there's an effort of mixing, yo, you break them up, especially the better tasting it is. Yes, you got to tip them. If it's just a fucking bottle open flip, $1 or $2.
Yeah.
And you're talking to a guy who worked in the industry also. Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Also, the other part of this is that with Robertson, and I don't know if this is part of the video, but how he just signed like a $30 million contract. So I think that was also kind of public news or recent news with him. So maybe that's well, and I'm not saying maybe. I'm sure this is a lot of the reason why this dude, tried to put him on blast on Twitter, because he probably just saw it on the local news that he signed a $30 million deal, and this is why. And why is he only tipping $13?
So just to answer the question, guys, does the waiter deserve to be fired?
No.
You don't think so? I would fire him.
I would fire him too.
If that was my business, I would definitely fire that dude. I mean, if he's spending $500, especially as a business owner, I mean, I guess it depends on contextually too, if he's a good server or not.
I think because first off, they're in Austin, Texas. It's not Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they're rivals in states and all that. So if it was a hometown bar and it's just like this is a frequent customer, then it's like, okay, fuck, like you just offended an Oklahoma City Thunder Thunder player, and now we're gonna have fans come into this bar that are complaining or may not even show up anymore, and they're not gonna give us business. But we're like versus in Texas, they're like, oh, you know what? This guy's a freaking athlete, and he's like just got his payday, 3-year, $30 million. That's $10 million a year. This dude's not paying. That's fucked up. We don't want his business. So,
I guess it's an agree to disagree, but where is Tyree Dillahay when we need him? Recently, when I saw you guys in early May, late April, when I was back in LA for like 2-3 weeks, Jackie and Jeremy, good friends of the show, took me to the El Cholo on Western.
Yeah.
So there is a black family. Actually, no, it looked like a double date between 4 black people. There is a Mexican family. Okay? Of about 5. Mother, father, 2 boys, 1 girl. I remember this. Because we were like the fucking Benetton fucking corner of Mexican food eaters. And one guy walked by, and he looked like a Latino. I want to say he's Latino. And he goes to the other white waitress, I'm at the wrong motherfucking section because I ain't getting no tips. So, even in the Asian culture, like, if you have an affluent Japanese person, an affluent Chinese person, they could tip better. With Filipinos, it's so subjective. It depends. If they're snobbish, they may try to outprove people that, they're going to announce it on the speaker. I am tipping these people 30%. Right. And by the way, I'm Filipino, and I am proud. And you could get like either filthy, wealthy Koreans that will just throw you like $50 when you deserve like $13, or they could be the rude sons of bitches and just fucking tip you nothing. And my biggest wonder, guys, why is the stereotype? Maybe we're just gonna try and figure this out, but why do blacks in general have this stereotype of tipping so low? Because I would think if you're black, you would understand the intensive, laborious way of the come up. Why do they have that stereotype?
The struggle.
I don't know, man. I don't really know that. I never. I mean, I've only worked in the service industry as a barista, and at the time I wasn't even just doing that for. I was doing that to kind of learn the coffee, like trying to learn the coffee industry and whatnot. And I never really experienced hearing that. It's like, oh, we don't get tips from black people or anything like that. So I never understood. That's like kind of the first time I've heard that, or just at least had that kind of notion. But
Jay, don't you think coffee versus restaurant are two completely different animals, though?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm definitely acknowledging the fact that I don't really see. I never really heard it, so that's probably why. I mean, I thought that maybe it would be kind of the same, or maybe it's just different from the time that I started working at a coffee house or something like that. But it's also just like I've never heard that personally, and I guess the only times I've heard anything about like black people tipping was positive because it was a celebrity or something like that from my friends or family that are servers. So
Zach, before you answer, can you text your homie Tyler?
Yeah.
And hopefully he could answer within like 5 minutes. I'm gonna stretch this with Jay. Can you ask him why do you think black folks have a bad reputation for tippers? If that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay. So Jay, I've experienced the distraught from managing waiters and bartenders. I can't figure it out because it's kind of like if you're a fellow person that's experienced the struggle, maybe their frame of mind is just like, well, fuck that. We all struggling, so why the fuck am I going to help you? Maybe that's a thought, but I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out, and I wish we could have like a black representative.
Yeah, that would be fair.
Not to explain or at least see how they feel about that stereotype, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
Zach, do you have an answer? Oh, sorry, Jay. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like like my goddaughter, she was in the service industry for a long time, and she the ones that she would tell me about are the celebrities, Drake or Floyd Mayweather and things like that, and she just had great things to say about them, about how generous they were, and they were also kind of open to her. I mean, she's a cool person as it is, but they weren't really dismissive of her, when she just tried to say hi and things like that, and they tipped her well, and those are the things that I've heard. So I mean, she hasn't got into any of those kinds of comments or had that kind of experience.
Yeah, because Jamie Foxx has a bad reputation.
Does he?
Wow.
Yeah, he has a reputation for being a bad tipper.
Oh shit, I forgot. As we're talking about tipping, I just realized Tyler's at Nobu's freaking working the washer. Like he's in the back just doing the washing for the plates and shit.
Oh, so he's not serving right
so
now.
He's working right now.
He's working right now.
But yeah, hopefully he's not getting gypped on tips and shit.
Well, tell him I'll tip him 20% to return a fucking text, dude.
Since my black friend Tyler isn't here, I'm gonna try to use that one semester when I was in African American histories class. That's my best example.
How culturally apropos.
Honestly, I think with black people in society, what happened was they came from the victim standpoint of what happened around the civil rights in that period of like going into restaurants and being treated a certain way and having to accept it. Like we've seen it before. Like even I think it was the movie Ali where the bathroom scene and like freaking he almost got jumped and shit. But like the thing about it is like for so long they've had to encounter that through most of America, and now that they have the right to fight back, I think it's their also thing where like it's died down from the violence standpoint to where it's just like treat me how you would want to be treated. And since the waiter right off the bat is probably having a bad day, they're probably like not even like it's not just like with the black table, but it's with other tables. They are treating everyone the same. The black person at that table will pick up on their vibes and they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm not tipping."
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, HuffPost. Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
No, sorry. It's just like from a personal standpoint, because we all do take it personally when we don't tip well.
Yeah. Apparently, Jamie Foxx has turned it around. Like now, on this article from the Huffington Post, Jamie Foxx has tipped a valet manager $100 to keep his car in view. Jay, you're exactly on point. Floyd Mayweather gave a $100 tip to a bellman. Kenan Thompson, I like this guy. Tipped a bellman from Saturday Night Live. He tipped the bellman $160 at a West Hollywood, like one of those boutique hotels. so maybe I am wrong, but I don't know. You guys have never heard of blacks getting that bad reputation?
I always just thought it was like a made-up stereotype.
I mean, is that any different, or not any different? But I mean,
Than Asians being bad drivers, or what were you?
Or no. I mean, because this just reminds me of like one of my favorite, Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes where Larry David and Jason Alexander are having lunch at a restaurant, and they split the bill, and then Larry David's like, well, how much are you going to tip so I can tip the same? And, Jason Alexander's like, no, you tip whatever you think is fair. I'm going to tip what I think is fair. And, he becomes obsessed with what Jason Alexander tipped versus what he did, because he probably did the straight up 20% and whatever. And he goes back and he's like asking the server, how much did he tip? And he's just like, is it, he's like, the server's like, I can't tell you what he tipped. And he's like, was it more than 20%? And just like, move your tie. And the guy moves his tie, and he's like, oh man, like, was it more than like 40%? Can you, shift the plate around? And he just like shifts the plate around. He's just like, oh man, I feel so bad, like shit like that. And so I would think like, oh, is there a Jewish thing about, like, along the same lines of the black stereotype? I would have figured more so, like the Jewish stereotype of being tight with money and whatnot.
That is very true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that episode too. I think towards the final part of Larry David trying to get as much information, it's like, just raise your
Yeah.
What was that? What do you
raise
call
the
that?
tray over your head, or
raise the
something
tray
like that.
over your head? How much higher? And he walked away with the tray on top of his head and shit, dude, above higher than his head. Yeah, it's interesting how that stereotype is perpetuated, because, like I said last week, 2 weeks ago. Dude, Filipino parents are talkers throughout the fucking movie. Dude, I'm telling you, man, this is in a span of like maybe within 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. There's a mother, I assume, going to her husband like, oh, he's the dad. Huh? Right, Papa? He's the dad. And the dad's probably just shaking his head. And then she goes, I think so. I think I'm correct. She's the dad. He's the dad. And then fucking like 53 minutes later, see, I told you. She's the dad. It's just like, oh my God, lady. It's like, great. Thank you. Yeah, it was mind numbing. And I'm watching fucking Wonder Woman here, so it's just interesting. I guess we should play the second fucking audio clip, huh?
I got you on nothing. That's a difficult. That's a difficult.
On takeout.
Eric Davis right here.
Takeout.
Zero on takeout.
But this is the thing. The entire issue is because this is a professional athlete that people can read on the Google machine.
Right.
How much money he makes. So when you see someone who has money, they're automatically supposed to be this enormous tipper.
An ATM, right?
That's a major. That's what the issue is. It's his money. He can decide what he wants to do.
Right.
You tip, and what you do, you tip on the service. I tend to tip well based on the service that I'm getting, because I understand that the people out working hard. We all understand that. That's what you're tipping. If you're going up to a bar and it's an expensive bottle, you already gave that establishment the money by overpaying for that bottle that you just got, okay? Now, if no one's giving you any service in that situation, you don't have to tip on top of that. So I'm okay with it. as far as someone putting it out there, you're right. They'll pay for that. They're probably going to lose their job because it doesn't make sense to do something like that.
So just to, I guess, close the episode also. Zach, you already brought this up. Jay, you mentioned partial to this. But let me ask this question now. Is it right for a waiter to anticipate at least 20% then? Or do you curb the expectation of, oh my God, it's Jamie Foxx. Oh my God, it's an NBA player. I'm going to get 25%. Should a waiter curb that?
Yeah, I think that's also kind of like when you look at the lottery, when you see how much it is, and then you're at the liquor store and you're like, yeah, give me some, like, let me get like 10 on the Mega Million. You actually believe in that ticket after you buy it. You see whatever it's like, if it's 800 million or if it's like 900 million, like last year when we had that 1 billion jackpot, like people are actually believing, walking around with the ticket going like, yo, I'm gonna win this billion and this is what I'm gonna do with it. Like, so maybe it's the same with the waiter where it's just like, yo, I got Jamie Foxx, like he's mine, he's a jackpot tonight, he's gonna help me like with this month's rent. But sure enough, he like doesn't tip well and you're like, oh fuck. So it's that expectation of wanting to have more money in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's rich people are rich for a reason, right? And it's not because they're just giving their money away. So, I mean, I think that's kind of part of the expectation that maybe some people just have to realize, or just learn it, is just that, they're probably going to tip you 20%. The likelihood is, but if you're waiting for some big life-changing money or not life-changing, but $500 or something like that, your expectations just way out of whack, dude. I mean, it's they're worth a lot of money, but you had nothing to do with it. And right now, you just, to improve your tip, maybe you just got to just go all out on the service, and if they still stiff you or, pay, tip you less than 20%, then, maybe you can just gripe about it. But, going out and tweeting stuff, come on, man. You're just hurting yourself.
Agreed. I feel the only thing you can control is the type of service you give them. And that's it. That's the only thing you can control. And without trying to reiterate both your points, so the final question is, if you're a celebrity and an athlete and you make an affluent amount of money, and you're going to a bar to spend $490, $487. So you're subsequently, in line with that expensive pseudo Hollywood lifestyle. Should you also accept the fact like, hey, I'm in showbiz, I'm in entertainment, therefore I got to take care of this waiter to be really micro about it and give him his 20%?
The lifestyle spending style question.
Yeah, I mean, it's all tied in together, right? Like, yo, you want to spend $487? You better make sure you tip this waiter $20 if he's more than sufficient.
20%, you mean?
Yeah.
I wrote this down because I remember you were saying, like, I probably will forget this, so I wrote down each question, and I circled the second one because I'm like, I want him to re-ask this. So, honestly, at that point, it's the trickle-down theory. It's supposed to be Reaganomics, and it is supposed to work. It's not supposed to be some fucking false news or fake news shit where it's just like you're giving false hope, because this is a person that is actually revered by the most of the society. And so for him, like, think about it, like how many athletes actually donate money back to their like own charities or back to like the city that they're from. Like LeBron is doing it so well with the city of Cleveland, but like Robertson is the type of player that still is probably hogging onto the money just for himself because he knows his spending style. This is a guy that probably thinks like going out and doing a OKC charity event for the organization, not on his own will, but for the organization. It's technically his own like made goodwill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you in the sense of, everybody has their outlook, right? It's kind of like, oh, I already contributed, I've done my part or done my goodwill and things like that. On this case, though, to answer your question, Charles, I think, if this is a place, like you said, I'm going to frequent this place, or this is a community place, then yeah, maybe you just bite it and you do the 20%. But for him, like, oh, this is out of town, it's in Austin and whatever, then and if he wasn't feeling the service, fuck it. I mean, why do you have to feel obligated? I mean, yeah, how much money I made or whatever, but you don't know how much taxes I pay. You don't know how much, other expenses I have in my life. So, who are you to judge? That's how I would do it. So if it was within the community, I say maybe it's different. I mean, you could still hold that same value of like, dude, you don't know my life. You don't know what I'm paying or whatever. So, but I think he would probably be more apt to tip the standard, 20% or maybe closer to it if it was in the city that he was living in.
But Jay, if it was good service, 20% automatic or not necessarily?
Yeah, absolutely. For me personally, yes. That's okay. That's how I would do it.
I just feel to balance the economics here. Robertson, you're a millionaire. If the person gave you good service, tip 20%. If it was shitty service, like what Zach said, maybe you don't tip them at all. Who the fuck are you to try to act all bossy with a fucking tray? And then you're trying to flex fucking how much you don't give a shit? Well, guess what? I don't give a shit about you if it's bad service.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand.
I was about to, I just looked it up. I threw in Chupacabra Cantina, the location, and I threw it into Google. And the one time I was in Austin, I went to this place because it's off 6th Street. And, Jay, doesn't it look like a half Baja Fresh, half, bar?
Yeah. It looks like one of those places you hop in, you hop out. You don't get no, bottle service with the champagne or the sparklers and all that stuff. No, this is if he bought something expensive, then it was probably just one bottle, and they overpriced it, and that was it.
But it's looking like it's several drinks, right? So therefore, there's a transportation of effort and labor. So it's bartender, waiter to the customer.
Yeah, I don't think there would have been, and there's 12 people in his party. I don't think all of them would have been at his bar. So they would have to walk around at the bar, and then they would have to go to the table where he was sitting at.
Okay.
That's fucking crazy, dude. I remember being in that bar and thinking yo, Heineken costs $12. That's a ripoff. The Robertson fucking goes over there. That's hilarious.
Dude, one time me and Jay went to catch fucking Trombone Shorty and Los Amigos Invisibles, and then we had this fucking big giant pork hawk. We must have spent easily $150 each, Jay, including the tickets,
including on top of all that stuff. Yeah, it was the dinner itself was at least like 120, something like that, 150 maybe. Yeah,
and then parking, So
yeah.
So yeah, well, guys, for you on Island Block, and for people who are listening on iTunes and Instagram and Facebook, we welcome you guys for us to have us talk on specific topics, news articles, anything. Follow us, DM us on Plug12. That's PLUGONETWO on Instagram. info@Plug12. Plug12 on Facebook. Jay and Zach, if you don't mind giving your Instagram or whatever social media profiles you guys have so they can follow you and you can interact with our audience.
At Twitter, it's the @ symbol. So it's Zach, ZAC, Elk ELK, and then on Twitter, on Instagram, it's Third Eye Kind.
Yeah, Instagram for me is TRA_J_Villa. And then you can just hit me up on Facebook, Jason Villamater.
Yeah, we welcome to interact with you guys, especially with the Island Block audience. You guys, we're just a different voice. We're trying to entertain you. We may be robust. We may be a little bit hard left. Could be straight and narrow sometimes, but it's just to add to your thought. And thanks, Jade. Thanks, Zach. Signing off. Plug 1, 2.